Well, good morning, everybody. I do feel like I'm among people who understand my world and whose world I understand. So it's particularly exciting for me to be here this morning. So I have 30 minutes, and I thought to myself, can I fill 30 minutes of time? It is possible, but what I'd like to do is give you an overview of what is happening in the District of Columbia, the opportunities that we are seeing with the investments that this federal administration is making and how that impacts our city. And then what I'd like to do is leave about 10 minutes for questions, if you have any, because honestly, this conversation and how you get connected to what's happening in Washington is best when you get to ask the questions that you've got, and then don't put me on the spot. I'll just try and do as good a job as I can in answering it. So I want to start the conversation with understanding what's happening in cities. Not just this city, in all cities. In cities across America, in cities actually across the globe. Post-COVID, what happened to cities, and you all know this, and we just haven't talked about it in a while, because the trends continue, is the impact of telework on downtowns. And so cities, if you look at the growth and the contraction of cities, we're constantly competing with the suburbs and with rural areas based on cost and based on commute. Those are the two things when most people are choosing, do I live in a city or do I live somewhere else? That's what they're choosing between. Sometimes, and a lot of people like to cite crime, but I will tell you that in this day and age and right now, the conversation is not about crime, because across the United States, we are at an all-time low for crime in cities. So it's really about the cost and the commute. And so when you have an advent of telework, and you can have a job that's stationed or located in the city, but work from home or work from anywhere in the United States. Now, my job as the Deputy Mayor of Economic Development to lure you as a tax-paying resident back to the city or to a business that can attract talent from all over the world. And I have a higher cost of real estate than maybe, again, a different location. Maybe I'm even competing as a business owner against your home. Then all of a sudden, there's a different equation that most cities are tackling. So when you can offer a job that can be satisfied from anywhere in the world, what is the competitive advantage that you have? The competitive advantages of cities is that you have an extraordinary talent pool that's already amassed and located in a region. What does that mean? It means that innovation industries, or industries that require physical presence, or industries that are tackling complex problems will follow that talent pool, because that talent pool, you know, especially if you're a knowledge economy, which DC is, that talent pool is your bread and butter. That is your competitive advantage to be able to get the best talent that can tackle what I just said, innovation, complex problems. And so we need to continue to foster and attract that talent. That means we need to have housing that is more affordable. And you'll always hear cities talking about affordability, but they may not connect it to what you think about, which is economic competitiveness. But in the advent of today, when cities are competing against cost and commute, we have to offer housing that's affordable, and we have to compete on the fact that we have a talent base that's extraordinary and that's already here, and that businesses want to come here based on that. The other thing why people will come to cities and pay a premium to be here is because they get an extraordinary experience that they can't get anywhere else. So you will go to New York, you will go to Paris, you will go to Tokyo, you will go to some of the most expensive cities in the world, because you can get something and experience something that you can't get anywhere else. And so our jobs as cities is to invest in that experience of excellence, the diversity of experience that you just simply cannot get if you are in, a second-tier city, in a suburb, in a rural area. So you have to compete on experience. And then last but not least, in our city, what we need to be thinking about is diversification of industry. Right now, there's so much mobility among businesses, and also kind of fragility around the job market that we need to make sure, as our city and most cities will face this too, is making sure that your economic and your industry base is diverse. And so here's what's happening in Washington specifically. We have been delivering extraordinary experiences. And you've heard Mayor Bowser talk about DC being the sports capital, the district of champions. We are now one of a handful, and I really mean like literally a handful, of cities that has all of their professional sports teams within the borders of their own city. Very, very rare. And so we're excited about that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as a component of our growth agenda and our diversification agenda. We also have an incredible opportunity in this city and in this region, I'll say as a region, which, by the way, is the 5th largest economy in the United States. So we're not, kind of a small bit player here. We're a massive player, and many of you know that. But what we are all looking to do is to really lean into the areas where our knowledge economy is unique. We are top 3 in terms of biotech industry. That's not DC. That's really this region driven by what's happening in Maryland and Montgomery County around the biotech corridor. But that's permeating throughout this region. Also in technology, AI, cybersecurity, anything related to defense tech and space tech. That is a growing industry that will impact this entire region and this region's economy. And then last but not least, we have a talent pool, like I mentioned, that is incredibly unique. So what we've been solving for, and what Mayor Bowser's really accomplished over the last 12 years, is focusing on that affordability of housing. In 12 years, we have produced 12,000 new units of housing under her administration. This has been, we are the region's leader in terms of housing production, especially in terms of affordable housing production. We are also the country's leader in the investment per capita that we make in affordable housing. And what that has done, those investments and that focus on housing, has accomplished 2 things. One is that 5% of our low-income population now has homes. So, sorry, the total percentage is greater than that. It's closer to 19%. But when the Bowser administration came on board and took over, about 13% of the population, low-income population that needed to be housed was housed, and now we're closer to 19%. So that's an incredible improvement. And then also, we have now slowed and stabilized the appreciation of rent rate. And that is because of production. And you will hear more and more in the public discourse how production is leading to stabilization of rent and even lowering rents. The challenge for us as a region and anybody else is to deal with the increase of expense, because you can't have lower rent and increasing expenses. And that is something that we all, as business people, need to be focused on. And I'm sure in your own respective businesses are looking at those expense increases. That's been one major accomplishment that the mayor's been focused on. A second one, and I heard Eric ask how many people are small businesses. We make a commitment as the district government, just like the federal government does, to contracting with small businesses. And so when Mayor Bowser took office in 2015, the commitment to spend with what we call certified business enterprises, or CBEs, those are locally based DC businesses. The commitment was to spend of the District of Columbia's contracting dollars, $300 million. 12 years later, our commitment has been to spend, and we've achieved it, $1.5 billion. That's what our annual commitment is to small businesses. Every time we've taken on a major project like Monumental Sports and Capital One Arena, and now with RFK Stadium, we have increased our commitment to including small businesses from 35% to 40%. So we are encouraging large businesses to be part of the solution and help us develop and maintain a pipeline that small businesses can not only participate in, but also grow into. We are incredibly excited about the leadership that our sports teams have taken as we've put that challenge before them. Another economic focus of Mayor Bowser's, and by the way, I'm talking about these things as if it's only Mayor Bowser. It isn't. We have a new administration coming in. We've got about 6 months left on our term, and then a new administration will take over in the District of Columbia. And the things that I'm talking about, housing, small business investment, what I'm about to talk to you about, which is downtown and economic diversification, these will continue to be the priorities for economic development going into the future. And they'll index up and down based on the priorities of the next mayor. But downtown and the revitalization of downtown is imperative. 60% of visitors, whenever you all travel to a new city, you will automatically go downtown because it's the central organizing or orienting location for you as a visitor to try and figure out what to do. So if your downtown isn't vibrant, or if you don't have kind of a corridor like the French Quarter, in New Orleans, like if there isn't a brand of a neighborhood that is so strong that that's the first place you go, most visitors, 60% of visitors, will go downtown first. So it's imperative as a city that that first impression is a good one. So we understood in DC that 90% of our built environment in downtown is office space. And we are now at about 20% office vacancy. So our task is to create mixed-use neighborhoods. And we know that not only because we need to replace underutilized office with more vibrancy, but also because we saw that Navy Yard, where we are now, the Wharf, NOMA, mixed-use neighborhoods rebounded very quickly post-COVID. And so we know that you need to get closer to a 40% residential and up mix of uses in order for in order for a downtown or a neighborhood to be resilient regardless of what you're facing. And so we set a goal as the Bowser administration of having 15,000 new residents by 2028. This goal was set in 2023, and we are on track to deliver that goal. We're doing that by incentivizing office to residential conversions, and after we kick that off, within 6 months, we had developers coming to us and saying, my building can't convert, but I could do a hotel. I could do more retail. I could do an experience or a museum concept. And so we created the Office to Anything incentive program. And it's that kind of flexibility and nimbleness that cities are going to have to innovate around in order to take that 20% of office vacancy is about 20 million square feet across downtown. In order to fill or transform 20 million square feet, you're going to have tools that attract capital to do it. So that's what we've been working on downtown. And then last but not least, again, during coming out of COVID, Mayor Bowser created the DC Comeback Plan, and the Comeback Plan specifies job growth aimed at economic diversification. And specifically, we had a target of growing the economy by 35,000 new jobs in high growth industries. Unfortunately, as DOGE and federal reductions and particularly workforce reductions, were enacted, what we are doing now is working on replacing what could be up to 40,000 jobs lost. And I think we're on a path to doing that, in large part because we're seeing in the federal system, obviously, the defense budget's going up, and other things. And this region is well poised to grow as those funds get deployed. So we went from wanting to grow DC by 35,000 jobs. We lost and currently have lost about 22,000 jobs. Our unemployment rate is at 7%, which is at a 20-year high. And we are working very quickly to replace those jobs with different industries, and also industries that are growing because of where we're seeing funding in the federal system. So in terms of diversification, our strategies are not so complex. We have an opportunity to really lean into tourism and that entertainment experience. And so when the mayor talks about being the sports capital, that is part of our diversification message. It's not just sports. It's also the 100 concerts that Capital One Arena hosts in addition to the sports games that they host. And so it's sports and entertainment, and we are looking to diversify our entertainment offerings as well, not just being sports related. But when you look at the investments that the city has made, we built Nats Park 20 years ago, and that unlocked more than 12 million square feet of mixed-use development in the Navy Yard. When we built Audi Field, that has unlocked development around Buzzards Point, and now what we're looking to do is to really connect the experience along the waterfront, anchored by Audi Field and Nats Park. And Nats Park will likely be needing a new refresh and a major investment in that facility as well, since it's been about 20 years since we've invested in it. I just mentioned a $800 million project that is the Capital One Arena. The Monumental Sports and Entertainment has just completed or is in the midst of phase 2 out of 3. So in 2027 will be the last phase of construction. And I know that Clark Construction is the general contractor. And I know that they're going to continue to be looking for trades for that last phase. And then RFK Stadium, which needs to be built and delivered by 2030. That is a 60,000 or 65,000 seat stadium and 8 million square feet of mixed-use development that will be delivered over the next 10 to 20 years. So that's one area of diversification. The second is really in professional services. We see the companies that are continuing to come to the city valuing the talent pool that's here that understands the highly regulated environment to tackle complex issues. And so whether it is, Amazon, and I know that the tech industry is kind of waxing and waning now in terms of jobs, but Amazon chose this region because not only of the talent pool and the tech pool that we have here, but also because of the complexity of the regulatory environment. And having that ability to access both Capitol Hill, as well as access all of the talent that's in the region, as well as the great transportation network, so that they could access the entire region, was really important. So professional services continues to be an area that we will grow. And then last but not least is tech in general. And so DC launched a $52 million DC Venture Fund, and that is a fund that's being managed by K Street Capital, and they are investing in startups and in growth businesses and ventures. We also are launching this year something called the Tech Ecosystem Fund, and that is to make sure that our ecosystem of capital providers, of technical assistance providers, of founders, is really coming together, and that we're making sure that we are creating incubators, accelerators that are specialized in certain industries. I went over to Berlin, and Berlin is one of the fastest growing tech communities in Europe. They're about the same size as the District of Columbia. They are 3 million people in the greater Berlin area. We're 6.5. So we are larger from a MSA perspective or from a regional perspective. But they have 25 incubators and accelerators. You go to one, totally focused on quantum. You go to another, totally focused on genome therapy. So these incubators and accelerators are about growing the ecosystem and provide a platform for low-cost real estate, as well as access to the entire industry and technical assistance. And right now, we have a handful. We have about 5. And so I always use Berlin as kind of my marker of where we could be and should be. And the Tech Ecosystem Fund is designed to focus on that. So now I'm going to talk and sort of start to wrap up here on thriving neighborhoods. And I think that if you are folks who build, this is probably what you assumed I would talk about. So Mayor Bowser, when she came into the office, said, my goal is to unstick stuck projects. And so that's what we've been doing for the past 12 years. McMillan Reservoir was a project that had been lingering for over 10 years in lawsuits and other things. And today we have 2 million square feet, mainly of residential housing, taking a former land filtration site and converting it into a new neighborhood just adjacent to the VA hospital. We call it Washington Medical Center, Children's Hospital, and then also MedStar Hospital. And so we've got about 1 million square feet left to build, and that is moving forward. We also have St. Elizabeth. Now, there's St. Elizabeth East and there's St. Elizabeth West. St. Elizabeth East is where the DHS has been consolidating, also for many, many years. And this year, we are on the path to the last component office being consolidated at St. Elizabeth East. So DHS will have effectively brought all of the component agencies under its umbrella at St. Elizabeth East. That is 15,000 employees east of the river in Ward 8. St. Elizabeth West was a transfer of federal property to the District of Columbia, and we have been developing that into a mixed-use neighborhood. And so this year, we've been building out the infrastructure for it, but now we have 5 development projects that we're completing the deals for, looking to get them through council this year, but those will be future developments coming up. We've also just secured Care First as the major sponsor for what we call the sports and entertainment arena down there, which is where the Mystics play and also where the Wizards practice. So that you should really watch for that and what's going on in St. Elizabeth. And if any of you have been to London and are familiar with the Olympic Park, the Olympic Park is very special, and to me, it feels very much like what east of the river could become. Olympic Park was one of the poorest parts of London, and that's where they built all the Olympic stadiums, but it was pre-planned with housing, fantastic park amenities, and public parks are a great economic equalizer. And here by going to the Yards Park, everybody comes. And it's a dynamic community as a result. And so when you think of, and also it's where there is, a dark tech, a deep tech, whatever you want to call it, a closed box tech, national innovation center. But then there's also a public-facing innovation center and an incubator, and that's what I think we can really design around, which is a technology, an art, and a health-driven community that all coexists and connects through an amazing Anacostia Park system, Anacostia Park connected to Poplar Point, and then coming down through St. Elizabeth. And so I would just watch for that, because I think that our defense tech community is going to be really attracted to being east of the river with Fort Meade, with the consolidation of DHS, and then we all have yet to see what ultimately happens with the FBI headquarters. But if it were, or any component of it were to go to Greenbelt, you now have 3 major cybersecurity powerhouses and procurers on the east side of the system, and the companies that do that work are going to be interested in being in proximity to that. I mentioned, I haven't mentioned Walter Reed, but I will, because we have a million square feet left to develop there. And then we have RFK, 180 acres. If you want to learn more about RFK, and I'm happy to answer questions, really you should go to a website. You either go to the commander's website, or you can go to ourrfk.dc.gov. I mentioned downtown, and last but not least, I just want to end with Southwest DC. Something that's happening in the district right now is that GSA is consolidating agencies and disposing of federal property. And so we've had already 4 or 3 transactions and a couple others announced. And we are very excited about the opportunity to unlock not just Southwest DC, but also Pennsylvania Avenue. Once the FBI vacates, the Hoover Building now becomes available. If you take a look at what could fall into place to really create the connection between the National Mall and some of our local entertainment hubs, like Gallery Place, you need the Department of Labor building. You need the FBI building to become privatized and to not be a barrier from visitors that are coming to some of our national gems and coming into the neighborhood. Same thing goes for Southwest DC. The wharf and this neighborhood along the waterfront are some of our most dynamic. And if Southwest DC can now start to have a connection between the mall down to the wharf, you've now unlocked a new opportunity that didn't exist before. So Southwest DC is what we're working on right now. With that, I'll stop because I can't believe it. I used 30 minutes. That's unbelievable. But I do hope that you do have a few questions. I just want to say, everybody's been trying to, contain the chaos, trying to figure out how to stabilize and reset. But the mayor always says, and I always say, that you can't bet against DC and you can't bet against the DMV. We have too much going for us. We're a beautiful place to live. We're an incredible place to work. I think that as we continue to invest in the fundamentals of diversification of our economy, and we've got a couple great major projects to get us through and weather this time and provide some stability for our industry, particularly our construction industry, then I will say that with the growth that we are anticipating, our future in DC and in the DMV is strong.